Hey everybody, welcome to Our Watch. I am Tim Thompson. There is a lot happening here in Southern California, namely in Temecula. Temecula keeps getting the highlight in the nation. There's some things we're going to talk about today with a councilwoman who has joined us. We're going to be talking about the Pride Proclamation, the flag policy, bills that some of the council members are opposing that are happening here in the state of California. Before we introduce our councilwoman today, I just want to remind you, subscribe, like, share this video out with all of your friends, family members, neighbors. They got to get this good information into their hands. Also want to let you know, if you haven't done so already, go over to ourwatch.com, subscribe there as a watchman. This is our way of making sure that you always get our content. As you know, we're bringing the truth out there. The enemy does not like the truth, and so is always trying to shut us down on various social media platforms. Best way to stay up to date and make sure you get all the content is going to ourwatch.com. So that being said, with us in the studio today is Councilwoman Jessica Alexander. Councilwoman Jessica Alexander, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Tim.
Yeah, glad that you're here. Like I said, a lot to be discussing, a lot happening in Temecula. Temecula keeps getting the limelight, whether it be the city council or it be the school board. You guys are doing some incredible things, and we're grateful for it. So thank you for all that you've been doing. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. And I'm excited to be here to kind of bring this out in the light to the public and letting them know what's coming down, not only in our city, but in our valley as well.
Yeah. So this last couple of weeks ago, there was a flag policy that was discussed, not just in the city council, but also discussed in the school board. Temecula School Board did enact a policy that would require that in anywhere on the school campus, they're just going to be posting the United States flag and the state flag. You brought something similar to the dais at the city council. Can you tell us about it?
Yes. So over the last probably almost half a year, 6 months or so, we've been noticing that flags have been going up everywhere. I think everybody's been noticing it. And it's just kind of struck me that, what are we doing as a city? Is this going to be coming to our city? And so I really was in prayer about it. I ended up getting some wise counsel, and I just really was wanting to figure out, how can we protect our city from litigation, from other things in the future. And so one of the things I want to start doing is doing my research on previous lawsuits that ended up happening, such as the Shurtleff versus Boston, where there was a gentleman who asked to fly the Christian flag in the city of Boston, where they flew many flags over many celebrations, and ended up, they told him, no, you can't fly your flag. And so they brought it all the way up to the Supreme Court. So now, over $2 million later and 5 years of litigation, they finally had said that Boston was incorrect in their ability to say no to him because of the First Amendment right, and he ended up winning. And so we're seeing this start to unravel. And so it created a movement for policymakers to be able to create a flag policy for their cities, for their school boards. The last one I really looked at was just locally here in Carlsbad, where they ended up putting up the a flag for the LGBTQ flag. And there was a huge just a huge fight, argument, whatever you want to call it, to where now they are allowed to fly the pride flag, the American flag, the state flag, and the city flag. That's where they're at. But I don't believe that that's where we stand as a city. And for me personally, being on the subcommittee for as a policymaker, I need to create policies. It's my job. So I'm asking the city council to create a policy for flags on what we stand for, in order to not get ourselves into litigation later on in the future.
Yeah. I look at what the city or the school board did in Temecula, and then I saw the response from some news organizations, the Press Enterprise being one of them, which used to be a pretty solid place to go. It seems, though, lately they are coming up with headlines that are more activist type headlines. Right. This is what they said about the school board policy. It says school board passes rules that ban gay pride flags, right, as though this is the full intent. And the thing is, it didn't just ban a gay pride flag; it banned a Christian flag.
Yes.
It banned various other flags. The idea is, at the school, you don't want the school to be a place of activism. You want the school to be a place of education, a place where kids go to learn, and free from the distraction of all of this stuff going on in our coast. They need to learn. And now here you are trying to enact this policy. You've got something coming up. So where is this headed? And where is this headed, and what is your hope?
So my hope is really just, it's very simple. I mean, this should be the easiest thing we ever pass. We can't just sit here on a handshake and say, okay, yeah, we're only going to fly 3 flags in our city. And that's where we're at right now. As policymakers, we're to put paper to pen and write policies.
Right.
And so all I'm asking is for the city council is write the policy and pass it. You can put whatever you want in there for flags, but the fact of the matter is we need to write policy. So it's really actually very simple, but I think because there is an agenda behind certain things that they think that this is against them, but like you had stated, this is for everybody, clear across. I was looking, we can end up having to fly the BLM flag. We can end up flying the pro-life flag. We can fly the Christian, fly the ISA flag. There's so many flags that if we end up putting up one flag, everything is now game. And so for that, even though it's government speech, I don't want to have to put us in a lawsuit. And so it's my job to be able to foresee what is to come and to protect our city in the future. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm hoping that my council members will be on board and actually see the truth of, doing this as a policy and creating it.
Yeah.
So,
well, we'll be watching the upcoming city council meeting, see how that goes for you. Wish you, obviously, and we wish our city the best. And we appreciate all that you're doing. One of the other things you've been involved in and very, very vocal about, and it seems to be an issue that many people are very interested in, is this Pride Proclamation. Tell us about that.
Yes. So I'm sure a lot of people had seen the videos that were put out from me talking in different segments at different city council meetings about this Pride Proclamation that was implemented about 3 years ago. That being said, they still want to keep the proclamation. And so I have to take a look at it being, again, a policymaker and taking a look, is this what our city represents? And there were 3 areas that I brought up in concern. One of them being the plus. What are some of these subcultures? Are these subcultures such as BDSM or furries or MAPS, masochism, all this stuff? Is that what represents our city? And is that what we want to portray onto our residents and allow other people to see, hey, this is what we stand for? So I asked, define the plus. The second thing I was asking is Stonewall. We had a riot that is now on this proclamation getting celebrated to children and activism in saying, hey, listen, during this riot, they try to assassinate 8 police officers in a building by trying to set it on fire with them purposely in there. Is that what we're portraying to our citizens, that we create this kind of activism within our city? I don't think so. I know that's not the truth. I know Chad Bianco is not for that. I've spoken to him on several occasions. I've seen how he portrays himself and how he protects our city. So I know that's not what we stand for. So why are we celebrating that? Why are we putting that on a proclamation? Right. And then the last thing, really, like I was just saying, is this for kids? When I look at especially this transgender movement being the LGBTQIA+, and we're taking the transgender part to it, are we comfortable with kids chopping off their body parts? Are we comfortable with injecting kids with hormones and saying it's totally okay? Or is that what we're supporting as a city? So we end up having a subcommittee. It came out that all this stuff was removed out of the proclamation. That at this point, this is what we're going to be bringing up. And kids at this point in time where we're wanting to move forward, is they will not be given the proclamation anymore. So I just see as, the goalpost is moving in the opposite direction finally. And so I'm hoping that council members will be able to vote yes on that and continue to, support the truth and really what's going on in our city. Well,
we hope that other council members will vote alongside you with this as well, especially when you look at the issue of handing this over to children. I, for the life of me, don't understand why any adults are interested in discussing children's sexual desires with them. So, or celebrating their sexual desires in any way. That's a personal, private thing. Quite frankly, kids shouldn't be engaged in sexual activities. It is still against the law in the state of California for kids to be engaged in sexual activities. So why are we making some sort of proclamation celebrating sexual desires with children? So I think it's a great common sense thing that you're doing. And I really, I look forward to seeing the other council members vote alongside you on this one.
Absolutely.
Lastly, one more thing, if we have a few more minutes, I want to discuss with you. There are some bills that are coming up in the state of California that are very concerning for many of the people in our community here in Southwest Riverside County. And you are opposing these bills. They have to do with parental rights. You aren't the one that makes this type of legislation. You're on the city level. We're talking something on state level. And yet you on a city council have a voice. And really, and I got to commend you on this because you are a voice for the people. I can't go anywhere where your name is mentioned and the whole room doesn't light up cheering. So you have been a great voice for our community. We're very grateful for that. You're wanting to use that voice in your position of influence to oppose some of these bills in the state of California. What are those bills and what is your opposition?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things, I think where the Lord's always led me is I am a voice for the voiceless, whether it be the unborn or right now, for these parents that don't have a voice. Maybe they don't know what's coming down. They don't understand how to fight it. And now they're in a situation where they could be losing their children. And so I want to be able to just allow the people to know, hey, this is what's coming down the pipeline. These bills are already sitting on the desk of Gavin Newsom right now. And he has until I believe it's October 14th to sign these bills. And so how are we going to prep for our families? How are we going to protect our children? One of the things as a city council member that I bring forward is the fact that we've already seen over the last several years, we've seen waves of people leaving California because they were concerned about losing their rights, and now they're going to be losing their children. So as a city council member, is my obligation to ensure that there's a safe environment, that is an area to make sure that we want to invite people in to the city. How is that inviting when we're saying we're going to take your children away?
Right.
So that's my obligation to say this isn't safe. This is not what the parents want. We need to stand up to the government, to these, what I call the behavior of domestic terrorists, to want to come in and take away our children, take away our rights. That's not right. And I, as a city council member, I'm not going to stand beside and just not do anything.
Right.
So that being said, I brought up a couple bills, one being AB 1078, which right now is telling school boards that they do not have the right to say anything about the pornographic material that's coming into the schools. And so that goes against the law as far as for obscenity and a minor. You have AB 978, which tells the parents that if there is a child who has is struggling with transgender identity, and one parent is supportive and one isn't, the courts will automatically send that child over to the parent who is supportive if they're in a custody battle. How is that safe? What happens if that parent is abusive? We don't know. Why are they supporting a child who wants to, again, change their bodies, destroy themselves inside and out? So I just find that is also, it's a form of child abuse. AB 223, which for me is like human trafficking, where we're sitting there telling kids, well, we're going to allow you to come out of the homes. We're going to take you out of the homes, allow you to leave, emancipate yourself. And then at the same time, now you can change your name and your gender markers and nobody will ever know who you are. That's a little frightening to me. And during that council meeting, I put on a video of Pinocchio. And I cut parts out because I wanted people to see the fact that all of these bills, and including AB 665, which is state-sanctioned kidnapping, are all leading to human trafficking. And if people don't have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, they're not going to understand what's coming down the pipeline. And that is what I can see right now, is I have the ability right now to see things lining up to where human trafficking is going to be an issue more than ever. And then the fact that these kids are not going to be able to be protected by their parents, which that is the best place for a child to be. No doubt, hands down, we need to be able to stand up. Local government, we need to have school boards. I need to have everybody standing up. And that's what I was trying to say at the last council meeting. Enough is enough. It's time to stand strong and stand united.
Right. You brought up the fact that people are leaving. The word that I hear often is fleeing.
Yes.
They're fleeing our state. And because we've been put in an environment where people are afraid. Right. They're scared to death to stay here because they're scared to death that their kid's going to be taken away from them. Mm-hmm. So there is an environment of terror. And this is not healthy. It's not right. People need to voice their opinion on this issue, and you've been that voice. And so we're so grateful for all that you're doing. We're going to be watching all three of these things you have coming up very closely. You have an incredible, massive majority of the people in our community are on your side of this issue. And one of the things we've realized is that we now have somebody on our side. Amen. And that's been a blessing. So Jessica Alexander, City Councilwoman in the city of Temecula, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I want to thank you all for joining us here on Our Watch. Again, don't forget to go to ourwatch.com, subscribe there. That way we can make sure we get all of this information to you. As always, God bless you. We will see you next time right here on Our Watch with Tim Thompson.